What I want to do is, so far what we've done is we've added decimals, we've subtracted decimals, and what I'd like to do now is the last piece in today's unit, which is to multiply decimals. We're going to multiply decimals. All right, let's take a look. Multiplication of decimals. All right, so let's multiply 3.14 times 2. 3.14 times 2. When we added and subtracted fractions, the number one thing that we did was we lined up the decimals. We did not attempt the problem until every decimal that was in the problem was lined up. Multiplication is different. Multiplication does not require that you line up your decimals. That's the number one difference between adding, subtracting, and multiplying. So don't feel uncomfortable when I attempt this problem and I do not line up the decimals. Here we go. So we have 3.14 times 2. 3.14 times 2. This 2, the decimal point is behind the 2. All right? But it's not necessary for this decimal point to be here. So here we go. All we're going to do is multiply normally. 4 times 2 is 8. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. All right? So another thing that is different, another thing that's different when we're multiplying decimals is we're not just bringing the decimal down. We're not just bringing the decimal down. What we're doing is we're counting the number of decimal places in both parts of the problem. We're counting the number of decimal places in both parts of the problem. We're adding those numbers together, and then the sum of the decimal points in both parts of the problem will be the number of places we move the decimal point in our final answer. Let's take a look. So what we have is we have 2 decimal places. We have 2 decimal places in the top. We have 2 decimal places in the top part of our problem. We have no decimal places in the bottom part of our problem. 2 plus 0 is 2. So what that means is we're going to move 2 decimal places in our answer. The final answer is 6.28. Final answer. Final answer. 3.14 times 2. If you're in geometry, if you have let's say a problem where you got pi, which is 3.14, and you have let's say a radius of 1, you have 2 times 1 times pi, 2 pi r. 2 times 1 times pi, you get 2 times pi. If you want to find let's say that's a circumference, formula for circumference, that would be a way you could find circumference without using a calculator. Okay, so we're just trying to show you how this could be relevant to maybe what you have to do maybe in your class. Let's take a look at another problem. So let's say we want to multiply. Let's say we want to multiply 2.25 times 3.14. All right, 2.25 times 3.14. Let's set that up vertically. We have 2.2. I think I'm going to need a little room here. I think I'm going to need a little bit more room here. 2.25 times 3.14. All right, so we have 2.25 times 3.14. All right, so we're not bringing the decimal down, not bringing the decimal point straight down. Don't confuse this with multiplication and division. And it's just coincidental that these decimal places are in the same place. All right, I'm not trying to force that to happen. All right, so let's multiply like we normally would. 5 times 4 is 20. Carry the 2. 4 times 2 is 8. Plus the 2 is 10. Carry the 1. 4 times 2 is 8. Plus 1 is 9. Leave a space here. Leave a space there. And let's, 5 times 1 is 5. 2 times 1 is 2. 1 times 2 is 2. Leave 2 spaces here. And now 3 times 5 is 15. Carry the 1. 3 times 2 is 6. Plus the 1 is 7. And 3 times 2 is 6. Now you add all that up. You get 0, 5. That's 11. Plus 5 is 16. And you get 10. Carry the 1, 7. All right, so you get 70650, And now, don't forget, you don't bring the decimal point straight down. That's what you would do if you were adding and subtracting. When multiplying, the way you place the decimal point in your final answer is you count the number of decimal places in the top part of your problem, you count the number of decimal places in the bottom part of your problem, and then you add those up, and then you count that number of decimal places in your final answer. Let's take a look. Make sure you understand what I'm talking about. The number of decimal places in 2.25 is 2 decimal places. The number of decimal places in 3.14, that's 2 decimal places. You add those up to get 4, and that's the total number of places, 1, 2, 3, 4, that you're going to count in your final answer. So final answer, 7.065. 7.065, final answer. Final answer. All right, let's look at another problem. All right, so what we have is we have 4. Let's say we want to multiply 4.009, and let's say we want to multiply 7 to that. We want to multiply 7 to that. So we line it up, 4.009. There's no need to make that 7.0. There's no need to do that at all because we have no intention on lining up the decimal. No intention on lining up the decimal. All right, so let's multiply like we normally would. 9 times 7 is 63. Carry the 6. 0 times 7 is 0 plus the 6. 0 times 7 is 0. And 4 times 7 is 28. There are 3 decimal places in the top part of your decimal. There are no decimal places in the bottom part of your problem. You add those up. You get 3. That tells you how many places to move and in your final answer. And you move 3 decimal places from the right, and you end up with 28.063. Final answer, 28.063. Final answer.